Hey y'all. So we're looking as we're transitioning to the responsive state. McKay talks about how the responsive state with universal male suffrage, how the state begins to connect by using mass politics. Even the most reactionary states, or conservative states, excuse me, conservative states such as Germany and even Austria-Hungary eventually, will utilize mass politics despite still having autocracy. And this is a really going to be an important element as we look in England and France as well as they shift towards true mass politics. And we're just seeing this idea everything's going to be different. The citizen becomes important. And in Germany in 1871, we see the German Empire, the Second Reich, if you will. It is a federal system, which means each of the old kingdoms have some independence over their locality, but there is a national authority. The Reichstag was the uh, legislative assembly for the parliament, but it doesn't have ministerial responsibility. So therefore, yes, it's me. Yes, it's using mass politics, elections, and things like that to achieve elements, and it's good for public opinion. But in reality, their laws, their discussions have no bearing because it is the chancellor. And here we see a better transition. We've been talking about Bismarck as a prime minister, but he's not a prime minister. He was not part, by definition, he was not part of that parliament. So now we're going to see this concept of a chancellor. And a chancellor is going to be the chief minister to the Kaiser. And the chancellor here, he's only responsible to the Kaiser. And then, of course, the Kaiser is the German emperor. Wilhelm I is the first one. He's crowned, as we've already seen. And that's going to be the German Empire for the most part. When we look at this, let's look at how Bismarck utilized Realpolitik as a domestic tool to achieve his agenda. Where his Realpolitik was a smashing success at the diplomatic level, we're going to find out that it only polarized the domestic. Very important that you look at through our lens. I want to make sure you realize this. Bismarck's Realpolitik is going to polarize and destabilize Germany. It has a different effect at the domestic level than it did at the diplomatic. The first thing we see is immediately begins culture comp, the German struggle, cultural struggle. It is between, it is an attack on the Catholics. The idea Bismarck believed that Catholics could not be good Germans because they had a dual loyalty. And he didn't want to have dual loyalty. He wanted a singular. So the fear of the Catholics about being persecuted actually comes to fruition here. During Culture Comp, Bismarck forged an alliance with the National Liberals and within the Reichstag, and they begin to pass anti-Catholic laws. Here's a great political cartoon of the age. It shows you the Pope and Bismarck playing a game of chess, and it's like a game between them. It's very frustrating, and by 1878, it actually backfired. How did it backfire? By alienating the Catholics and using the liberals, he actually gave rise to the SPDs, or the German Social Democrat Party. We haven't quite got there in the textbook, but the Social Democratic Party is a Marxist party. Workers of the world unite. These are not, these inherently, they're anti-nationalist in some ways. So we begin to see Bismarck begins to realize by 1878 he has alienated a good Catholic base. He realized the Catholics, despite them having this quote unquote dual loyalty, they were good conservative Germans. So he began to realize that his policies actually worked against him, strengthening this far left through mass politics and within the Reichstag, and that caused him in 1878 to make an about turn. And this is a really, really big element. This reversal, this dramatic reversal in 1878 He attempted to forge a conservative alliance with the moderate liberals, and he created a series of anti-social legislation that he forced down Parliament's throat. He was meant to alienate the Social Democrats by uniting with the moderate liberals and the Catholics. But the Catholics still were like, wait a minute, weren't you trying to erase us just a year ago? So in the end, he's not going to be able to successfully use Realpolitik. And then even the liberals, I love this political cartoon here. You see Bismarck with his arrow, he's aiming for the SPDs there, but he's also going to hit the liberals. So at this moment, as we go from 1878 to 1890, he's really going to fail to provide that Realpolitik alliance that he wanted and ultimately polarized. Now, what were some of the things that we see here? Part of the anti-socialist legislation was actually he formed the first welfare state. He created sick insurance, which is sick days. If someone's sick, they're able to take off and still get paid. He's the one that introduced the idea that the state can oversee old age pension like Social Security. All of a sudden, he's beginning to do this. He's creating this concept, and his hope was that he could forge a relationship between him and the moderates and the working class. Despite Realpolitik achieving this great diplomatic success, Bismarck's approach polarized Germany and ultimately really failed. I'm going to pause here. I just want you to think about Bismarck, Realpolitik, and then we're going to get back to the discussion.